ASUS's Scar 18 gets a mini LED screen this year, as well as other changes, like Intel's latest 14th gen processor. But this is ASUS's most powerful gaming laptop. It is not cheap. And the new mini LED screen increases the cost even more. So let's find out if this maxed out configuration I've tested is worth almost $4,000 US. But not everyone has a budget that high, which is why this part of the video is sponsored by Gigabyte's new Aura 16X gaming laptop. With the latest specs and a fresh design, the Aura 16X is ready to dominate the latest games. Nvidia's GeForce RTX 40 series laptop GPUs offer DLSS 3 in supported games, which uses the Tensor cores and AI to deliver a smoother gaming experience. And Gigabyte's new AI Nexus features give you access to AI Boost, which automatically increases FPS in games, AI Power Gear, which increases battery life based on your workload, and AI Generator, an offline text-to-image generator for creators to bring their visions to life. Or if you just want to make your next viral meme in a flash. Check out the sponsored link below to find out more. Alright, back to the Scar 18, and let's get straight into that mini LED screen. Color gamut is excellent, but not actually that much better compared to last year's panel. Contrast is much better with mini LED though, as the 2000 plus zones can dim individually. The ASUS Armory Crate software gives you 3 different options to control how the zones operate. With multi-zone enabled, it gets over 1000 nits bright in SDR mode, as per the green line. An excellent result. This means it's brighter compared to most other laptops. The others nearby are all mini LED too, and it's more than twice as bright compared to last year's Scar 18. That panel is still used in the 2024 Scar 18 too, if you don't spend more for the mini LED option. Screen response time is quite good with panel overdrive enabled. For a 240Hz panel, we want transitions to occur within the 4.17 millisecond refresh window, and on average, we're not far from that. It's a fast screen, but the non-mini LED version of the Scar 18 was a little faster. Granted, this can vary a bit between panels. Practically, I'd say this difference is small enough that it won't matter for most people anyway. Both screens are fast. The total system latency is the amount of time between a mouse click and when a gunshot fire appears on the screen in Counter-Strike 2. Unfortunately, I don't have data for last year's Scar 18, as we moved from CSGO to CS2 recently. But regardless, this year's Scar 18 was providing one of the fastest results so far. This year's Scar 18 has the same sized battery as last year, but last year's Scar lasted for half an hour longer in the YouTube video playback test. That was with both screens normalized to 200 nits, which seems to indicate that the mini LED panel may use more power. On the spec sheet, Intel's new Core i9-14900HX processor has a 200 MHz higher single-core clock speed compared to the 13980HX found in last year's Scar 18. Despite that, last year's version had a slightly higher single-core score, though it's less than 1% ahead. This can vary a bit based on the silicon lottery, as we have other 13980HX chips with lower single-core scores. Last year's Scar 18 was also 3% ahead in multi-core score, so the difference is only small, but 14th gen not having a clear win makes it feel a bit pointless. Performance lowers if we unplug the charger and run off of battery power instead. Last year's Scar 18 was still a little ahead in multi-core performance, but strangely, the 14th gen chip was now scoring higher in single-core. This happened in Cinebench 2024 too, and we've seen it with a few laptops recently. I'm not sure why, but it's reproducible. It's using the same Wi-Fi card as last year, but I found this year's performance a bit better. My data from last year's Scar 18 is almost a year old though, so perhaps Intel Wi-Fi drivers improved. Alright, we need to talk about the game results. In a combined CPU and GPU stress test, I found that this year's Scar 18 would max the GPU out at 150 watts, whereas last year's Scar 18 went up to 170 watts in the exact same workload. Now, that said, it does seem to vary based on the workload being run, because with the games that we're about to look at, the 4090 in this laptop was still able to max out at around 175 watts, at least at 4K. That wasn't the case at lower resolutions, where the CPU took more of the power. And that's just how dynamic boost works, shifting power between CPU and GPU. Cyberpunk 2077 was tested with our own custom test run, and I've got the Scar 18 shown by the red highlight. The performance is great at 1080p compared to most other laptops, but it's only just slightly ahead of last year's cheaper Scar 18. The Scar 17 was a fair bit ahead due to AMD's 3D V-Cache. This year's Scar 18 didn't quite have the same lead at 1440p. The difference compared to last year's version is still within the margin of error, but there are more 4090 laptops ahead now. It's the lowest result at 4K from any RTX 4090 gaming laptop tested so far. Even Razer's Blade 18 with lower tier RTX 4080 graphics isn't far behind. And the Scar 18 was actually running the 4090 at 174 watts in this test, so full power. Red Dead Redemption 2 was tested with the game's benchmark. At 1080p, it's one of the better results, only beaten by the Scar 17 with AMD's 3D V-Cache, or a smaller water-cooled laptop. It's the same deal at the higher 1440p resolution, except that last year's Scar 18 is exactly the same now. Last year's Scar was a little behind at 4K this time, a bit different to what we saw earlier in Cyberpunk. And let's not forget, I'm not testing with features like DLSS either, so higher FPS is possible than what I'm showing. Control is a GPU-heavy game, even at 1080p, so the lower minimum GPU power limit may help explain why this year's Scar is the lowest RTX 4090 result. It's the same deal at 1440p too, and also 4K, where it's slightly behind last year's Scar and only a little ahead of the ASUS ROG Ally with RTX 4090 eGPU connected. At the end of the day, there's only a 5 FPS gap between the worst and best 4090 result here. Nothing major, but when you're spending top dollar, you probably want the best. Here are the 3D Mark results, if that's something you care about. Pricing and availability will change over time, so check the link below the video for updates and current sales. And if the Scar 18 has a good sale, we'll be sure to add it to our gaminglaptop.deals website. We update that every day to include all of the latest sales, so make sure that you check it out regularly to save money on your next gaming laptop. At the time of recording, the lower spec RTX 4080 configuration starts from $2,600 US, so $100 more compared to last year's model with 13th gen CPU. But if you want the mini LED screen, then it's an extra $400 compared to the same thing but without it. Meanwhile, the higher tier RTX 4090 version that we've looked at in this video is $3,900, or 30% more money. Granted, you get double the SSD space. Still though, when you consider that at 4K, an RTX 4090 laptop is 15% faster than an RTX 4080 laptop, it's hard to justify. And the difference on average is even less at 1440p. So this difference is a bit more realistic, unless you plan on connecting a 4K monitor. Basically, you're paying a whole lot more for minor improvements this year, so diminishing returns are in full effect. At least without any current sales running. But again, check the link below the video, as that will change. Even spending more money for the mini LED upgrade might not be worth it for a lot of people. You're spending $400 or 15% more money for a screen that basically has the same color gamut as last gen, and is actually slightly slower in screen response time. But it does have more than double the brightness and better contrast. So it does look a bit better. But is that worth $400 to you? Maybe, maybe not. But considering that last year's Scar 18 had better CPU performance, better battery life, and comparable FPS in games, if not slightly ahead in many cases, I can only conclude that it's literally only worth buying this year's Scar 18 with mini LED screen if you want the brighter screen with better contrast. That's what it comes down to. Otherwise, just save the money and buy a last gen Scar 18 from 2023 with 13th gen processor. Everything else about the Scar 18 has been covered in last year's detailed review. It just wasn't worth covering absolutely everything all over again in this one. There's no point, because everything else like the design, keyboard, touchpad, ports are all exactly the same as last year's model. So check that one out next to find out everything else about the Scar 18.